Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. My name is Fran, and I am one of the co-hosts for this podcast. You guys, as always, I know we say this all the time, but we are so thankful for you and thankful for your time and your listening and your love and support of our rambling. Sit back, you guys, and enjoy the conversation. We love you so much. Welcome back, our beloved podcast friends, coming to you live from Union University Recording Studio.
On a rainy Saturday.
Listen, we are recording on the Saturday before this releases on Monday, and it is horrid. Let me just go ahead and say, dear Mr. Union University President, if you're listening to this, I come in today to park in the parking lot, you know, in between the Grant Center and the library because it's pouring down rain, thinking, well, worst case scenario, I could probably park in Dr. Dub's spot. But guess what, everyone?
Uh-oh.
Dr. Dub was in his spot.
And let me say this.
I couldn't park there.
That man never uses his spot. He goes and parks in left field because he's so kind and generous. But I'm glad to know at some point when the weather's like this that he, and a Saturday.
On a Saturday.
To his credit, he had no idea that you would need
it.
When we find
had to park so far away, everyone.
Do you call it something like when you get front door parking? Do you have a name for it?
No.
I learned this from Kaylee.
No.
Okay, so at Sanford, their parking situation is horrible always.
Okay.
Especially times like this when they're under all this construction and there's really nowhere to park.
Yeah.
And then you just create your own spot. And if you get a ticket, you just throw it away and ignore it.
Yes.
All that to say, whenever you get a just precious few rare parking spot that's super close, and by super close, I mean within, 100 yards, they call it princess parking.
Well, by golly, that's what I'm going to start calling it.
So start calling it that. So sometimes we'll be at the grocery store and I'm like, oh, I just got princess parking.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I'm also balancing that with the idea of the weather is decent on the day that I'm looking at princess parking, thinking I really need to park out in left field and get some steps in. But
are you one of those people that, similar but different, let's slightly change the subject, but when you're talking about being in a grocery store, are you one of those people that you always put your cart or buggy, I call it a buggy.
I do too, and people laugh at us up north.
It's a buggy.
It is a buggy.
Do you put your buggy every time in the little stall?
Either in the stall or I will be that person to march it up to the door, and here's why. One time in the 90s when I had a 4-door baby blue Geo Prism with a very large plastic bumper. That should be everybody's first car.
It surely should.
When I would hit
mine was a Ford Tempo.
When I would hit things, I'd just bounce off of them. It was like a big time bumper car for real. But one time I was so proud of that little car and somebody left their buggy out in the parking lot.
Nope.
And by the time I came back out, it had slammed right into my beautiful baby blue metallic 4-door Geo Prism with nothing electric and no bells and whistles. That also at that moment had a very large scratch on it. And I said all kinds of unsavory things to the invisible person that ruined my life.
Yes.
And it made an impression on 16-year-old me. And I thought, I don't want anybody else's beautiful car to get a scratch on it. So I don't get everything right, but that's one of those things where I take the moral high ground.
Absolutely.
I don't always return my clothes after I try them in the fitting room. That's probably another one of those things.
Leave them in the fitting room.
I try to at least put them on hangers.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't want you to return them because we put them in the weird spot.
Right. Oh, yeah. Listen, I wish I would have learned that return the cart to the station. What is that called? What did I just call that?
The station.
The station, the buggy station.
It's Wild Wild West.
It's the buggy.
It's your buggy station.
Now I've changed the visual in my mind.
The train station, the buggy station.
The little buggy station. I remember being a baby Christian, probably 30, 31, and had an older lady, a.k.a. my age,
She was probably younger than us.
Yeah, she probably was. And she would teach us and tell us those just very basic things. Listen, as a Christian, as a believer, you need to show people, live out
integrity,
the return of the buggy to the station, because that's the right thing to do. And I remember sitting there at that young age thinking, oh, okay, well, that's what I need to do now. So anyway, when you said that about princess parking privileges in the grocery store, I thought, wait, do you return your buggy? Because ever since then, I'm like, I will think
about it.
Yeah. Oh, intentionally. And I will march, not miles, but I will cover some distance to return that buggy to its station.
And then you feel so sorry for the workers. They're short-staffed. And it's like there's 9,000 buggies in the parking lot. And then everybody's angry inside. Yeah. And I'm thinking, all you people inside complaining that there's no buggies, y'all have walked past 2 stations packed with them. Just go get you one.
Listen, this is so funny to me. So before we came here, I went into our wellness center here I got on the treadmill. I worked out here on campus. And then... y'all, I couldn't find my AirPods, and
that's the worst.
I couldn't find them. And so yesterday, I worked out without them on the treadmill. Miserable. But I'm watching a couple of things online. By the way, if you've never watched Traders on Peacock, it's absolutely phenomenal.
There's a new season.
I've already watched it all.
Are there any celebrities on it?
I can't remember because, it's all celebrities.
Because there's a regular one and there's a celebrity one.
No, the season 3 is celebrity.
It's all celebrity. Okay. Oh, I need to watch that.
All from like reality shows and stuff. So I
watched the one with Ekin-Su, and that was the second season.
That's the one I just started.
Okay.
I just started season 2.
Okay.
I watched season 1, forgot about it.
Okay.
And then jumped to season 3, and it's still happening. It's not over yet.
Was it Phaedra?
Yes, that's season 2. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So because I was watching that at the gym last night, I can just put it on closed caption, and I just.
But then you have to be able to see it. So then I'd have to put my glasses.
Yeah.
This is like if you give a pig a pancake.
I know.
Then you got to put on your glasses.
It's just
you need AirPods.
So today I was like, where are my dang AirPods? I could not find them. And that's so not like me, y'all.
That's like me, not Fran.
Yeah. Yes, right.
This is more Angela than Fran.
And so
have you had them since you moved?
Oh, yes. I just used them a few days ago. So I just couldn't figure out, like, where were they? So anyway, long story short, I was like, well, forget it. I'm just going to order some from Target online.
Very Angela thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you cannot work out without them. And I needed a new pair anyway.
I just hope I'm not rubbing off on you and making you irresponsible.
No.
Okay.
They were kind of starting to die. Like, I've had them for probably 3 years.
They're an old generation.
They are. And so I didn't have any problem. And
Happy Valentine's Day
for real.
To yourself.
Yeah. So, but I placed the order. Here's what's funny. So then I had gone into my office and I had parked in the back because it was raining. And then I get in my car and I drive around to the front of the wellness center because it's raining. And I start looking all over my car, under the seat, like everywhere. And then I was like, let me look in my purse one more time. Oh, well, lo and behold, there they are. So now Fran has 2 pairs, but that's fine because they're about to die. Yeah, I do need a backup. So when I got done on the treadmill before we started recording, I go to Target because I get the notification that my order's ready for my AirPods that I no longer need. So I'm sitting there in parking spot number 4, and a lady pulls in front of me like we're nose to nose, okay? Y'all, it is pouring down rain. And I immediately thought to myself, oh, sweet woman, we are not the same person, because she hops out of her car. Apparently, maybe she just used that spot to run inside and get something that she did not walk out with, because I'm like, you're in a pickup spot. What are you doing?
Not cool.
No, not cool. I know it's pouring down rain. No, still not cool.
If we all did that, there wouldn't be any
exactly
spots
right.
for the appropriate people.
That's exactly right.
Listen to me taking the moral high ground.
Well, but here we are, people. And so I watched her get out of her, maybe it was a white Ford Explorer.
What was her tag number? Let's call her out.
For real. Well, we were nose to nose and I couldn't see.
Citizen's arrest.
But here's what she did. It's pouring, y'all, and she gets out of her car and casually strolls.
No umbrella?
No umbrella.
What?
No rain jacket.
Did she have hair and makeup melting down at this
just
moment?
Casually.
Does she have a mental illness?
And I thought, you need to run, lady. You need to run. And then it was slow. It was taking a minute. And I watched her walk back with nothing. So I don't know what she was doing with nothing. And it's still pouring down rain. And she's just getting soaked.
She reminds me of our friend in Dubai. Just living in La La Land.
Just living in La La Land.
What's her name?
I don't.
Onita?
Yes, her.
No, not Onita.
No.
That's a China pattern.
Yeah, that is. I was like, what is that? Yeah, just living in La La Land. I was like, good gosh, I hope you're going straight home.
So let's do an update on the New York lady in Pakistan and now Dubai. So I'm getting conflicting reports, and hopefully by the time this airs, we'll have solid information.
She's something else, y'all.
On the one hand, people were posting saying, I'm on a plane to New York with her. She's coming home. But that same person posted where they paused the flight for over an hour to remove her from the flight and had video footage of her like on all fours, like they were putting her under arrest for something and keeping her in Dubai. And in Dubai, they don't play. Apparently somebody had footage of her like threatening a man or yelling at him, and people last night this is how I spent my Valentine's night after our dinner, reading up on her, and people were like, oh, well, I thought she was in New York. Oh no, I think she's in Dubai. And people are like, okay, pray for her, because if she's in Dubai, this might not end well. She might actually go to prison for doing all the loud, flamboyant things that she was getting away with in Pakistan. But I don't know. It's interesting. And then Doug's winter party.
It's today.
Because
it's the 15th as we record this.
And Michael Bublé had posted about it. Last night I saw where Doug had a whole stack of cards, and I'm thinking, how do people have his address? That's kind of weird. And keep in mind, Doug never asked for this.
No, he just invited his neighbor.
And his neighbor thought it was so cute and precious, and it is. And
it's exploded.
It on TikTok. But it shows you the power of people, first of all, wishing they had that in their life, and also something so simple and ordinary becoming the viral thing that everybody's talking about. So
I love Doug's winter party, and I saw there's a whole TikTok account called Doug's Winter Party.
That's crazy.
And whoever's running that, it's a family member, and they had arrived at work this week, and the amount of boxes and packages for this man. It was like, I was overwhelmed.
What are people sending? I've seen people saying, I want to send potato chips for the party. Or
well, he didn't unbox anything, but I've seen like the stacks and stacks of letter and mail and him open them and reading them.
And he's a widow. It's
just precious. It's just precious.
Oh, Doug.
I know. Doug.
Wish we could be there.
I do wish we could be there. The Today Show did a whole segment on it.
Yeah.
Okay, the lady, Pakistan lady, I don't know how to say her name.
It's not.
But it's Onijan. How are they saying that?
Onija?
I don't know. I don't ever pay attention. I'm so wrapped up in what she's saying.
I just can see her sweet little face and her big red lips like Betty Boop. She's always got that perfect red lipstick.
And her head covering and the whole 9 yards. Like, it's just the wildest thing, y'all.
Thoughts and prayers, because she, I think, honestly, I mean, it's obvious, has some kind of mental illness. Her son has said so. And thank goodness the Pakistani people were so gracious to her, but she could really get herself in a situation.
It's dangerous.
It is. It is.
Meanwhile, I'm just, ordering AirPods that I don't need and just figuring out when I'm going to do a grocery pickup this weekend, because guess what's also coming in the forecast this week, y'all? Snow.
And, it's supposed to come in Tuesday night into Wednesday, and that's when I'm leaving for New Orleans.
Oh, you'll be fine. Y'all are flying or driving?
Driving.
Are you driving? Who's going?
Carl.
Oh, I knew that. Okay. Tell the listeners that they're going to
going alone.
They are going to be so glad they're not going to this conference.
And my inner nerd has rejoiced because I'm so excited about the itinerary.
Listen, I love a good conference. Oh my gosh, I'm all about it. Again, we're not the same person, Angela. We love a good conference, but I don't love what you're going to learn about, because I would rather do anything but sit and listen to words that are centered around the word
Medicaid.
Medicaid.
But I'm making you a convert. We've stuck our little pinky toe in the waters of estate planning, Fran. So we're going to.
We are going to do a whole episode, whether it's just a single episode, our normal episode, or a bonus episode that is tied just to estate planning.
Well, everybody listening is going to die. Like, it's congratulations. Aren't you glad you're listening right now? But there are some basic things that everybody needs to know to be prepared for.
And it's one of those things that until Angela came on campus this past week and did a whole session, you just think, oh, I'll do that when I'm 70. I'll do that later.
Or any other time, but not right now.
But not right now, because
the easiest thing to postpone. Right. And I have clients who come in and they say, I always thought if I ever sat down and did this, then I would die the next day. Like, acknowledging it would make it real.
That.
And I shared this with y'all. Like, the majority of people name their biggest fear of being public speaking, which tells me how delusional we are. Because if you really knew I'm going to one day die, not that we need to be afraid of death, but if you knew, I would say in that regard, I'm afraid of missing a milestone with my children, or not being here, or my children being sad that I'm, just anything along those lines, and not I'm scared of public speaking, or heights, or whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be at the Omni Riverfront in New Orleans. I've never been to New Orleans. So when you hear this, if you have things I need to know about New Orleans, I do not leave until Wednesday. So please message me all of your ideas if you've been. But there's a World War II museum that's supposed to be amazing. I'm sending Carl there for one of the days of my training. He will love it. But anyway, I'm doing a Medicaid crisis planning seminar. So what this is, I know everybody else is glazing
Stay with
over
us, everyone. Don't leave us.
I'm going to give you the 10-second version. But basically, if you're, if you've got parents who are elderly and mama falls and breaks her hip and she's in the hospital and it looks like it's time for nursing home, long-term care. And the big question we get all the time is, how do we protect, they call it sounds like Dr. Seuss, the spouse in the house.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the sick spouse.
That's so awesome.
So you've got to look at, because
you could write a book, Angela.
You could. Yes. Except I'm not a book writer.
Well,
Union University students, we need you again.
Yeah, we need you again.
Second book.
Doesn't that sound riveting?
The spouse in the house. And the sick. So if you're looking at, okay, do they own a house, a car, bank accounts, retirement accounts, mom and dad together, even if it's in one or both names, it's all considered in one total sum. But then there's things they don't even look at, like your house and your vehicles. And then your sick spouse gets half the value of what's allowable or that counts. And then the other spouse can protect half of it. Here's the quick version. You do not want to give the nursing home $10,000 a month.
Well,
which is what it costs. So I'm learning how to help people keep that money in their pocket and not give $10,000 a month to the nursing home.
Yeah. Yay. Well, this is why we need to do a whole separate episode for all of this, because it does matter and it is important and all the things. But I sat there and, for 40 minutes, 35 minutes, listened to you unpack why we need all of this. And it is overwhelming because, as I've said about things that are new to me, I feel like I'm listening to a foreign language. However, it's in
Charlie
English.
Brown's teacher.
And your brain has to work overtime to understand and process what you're talking about so naturally and normally. However, you present it in such a way that I do understand enough, and I'm like, okay, I need to do this, and it's not scary, and it's the right thing to do for your whole family. And so
it is.
We will do this at some future time.
We will. And your biggest takeaway just needs to be, there is a way to have a plan and be prepared. That's stewarding well the people and the resources God's put in your care. We can help.
Let me say this too. The other misunderstanding that I think we have centered around the words estate planning is just simply the word estate.
Yeah. What do you think about when you hear estate?
Well, I just think, I'm just a regular Joe person.
I'm not J-Lo with 6 mansions on the beach.
I don't have things to consider, really. But that's such a lie. It's not true. We all have people. We all have possessions. We all have decisions to make about the future, period.
And the scary thing is, you have a plan.
Yeah.
But did you write it? Or is the state of Tennessee going to dictate it?
Nope.
And especially if you have children and no dollars. To me, that's scarier, because somebody else is going to be raising your babies and managing your life insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, enough about death and dying. That is our death and dying segment.
Listen, speaking of, no, I'm not. I don't know if this computer can hear me or it just knows that this is what it would be normally flashing. But at the bottom, it's telling me that there is 3 to 4 inches of snow forecasted.
That's wild.
I'll believe it when I see it. But let me say
and
this.
And tonight we have a tornado.
Yeah. Welcome to the South.
I mean, it's all the seasons and all the weather events in one.
If it snows, this better be it. Because I'm done with it.
We are so over it.
I'm over it.
We made it through January. Yeah. It felt like 32 years.
Oh, it never ended.
I finally feel like I have energy again after the horrible bout with the flu. February is short and we're over halfway there.
And praise God.
March has long days.
It's so long, y'all.
Sunsets.
The only thing that saves us about March is that we're like, well, we're one day closer to spring. We're one day closer to spring.
March is going to be glorious.
But March can also be a boogaboo.
It's going to be fabulous.
It can snow in dang March.
Say it right now. It's going to be the best March that ever marched.
It's is
coming.
Well, and also too, on campus, baseball and softball played at home yesterday.
How did that go?
And so just hearing bats swing outside is one of my all-time favorite sounds ever.
The sound of that coupled with the feel of the warm sunshine and the smell of fresh cut grass.
I'm happy girl.
If heaven had a season, it would be springy, summery, that. Not too hot, not too cold.
Our family always, an all-boy sports family, we mourn heavily when college football and NFL season is over. We'll watch some college basketball, and the boys, like, they love the Grizzlies. They'll watch the Grizzlies and stuff, but we need baseball season back in our lives. And so the fact that the SEC network now is showing all SEC baseball and softball. We are so happy. I will watch any college softball or baseball game. I don't care who they are. We are so happy. So the spring and summer's coming, and it's going to be glorious.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Another reason it's going to be so great in the month of March, Fran. You're not homeless anymore.
Did I say we bought a house last episode?
I think we might have just barely mentioned it. Maybe if I don't remember.
Nobody even probably remembers.
We've talk about it.
Well,
we barely mentioned, I think at the end, that and the red light machine.
The red light machine. Okay, so we bought a house.
Yay.
Yay.
Applause button.
We close on March the 12th, which is a Wednesday. The movers are coming on Thursday, March 13th. Here's what's so funny. I'm so excited. We're just so excited. And the few times that we've gone over there, we had to go over there one day this week to get a fence estimate, to do the punch list walkthrough thing, which there really wasn't anything enormous that needed to be done. So every time I'm in the house, I'm like, yes, it's ours. We're moving. This is so exciting and so good. But here's what's funny. So yesterday was hair day. I love hair day.
Your hair looks great, by the way. Well, I keep thinking that as you're talking, and I haven't said it.
All the gray is covered up. Love it. Okay, so I go every 4 weeks because I have to, because I have very stubborn gray hair. So I'm sitting there in the hair chair. And for you local people, if you know Ellen Neely, she was also getting her hair done. So we were kind of like, when she had her color on, getting her color put on, I was waiting on her to get done. And then, while she's sitting with her color, then I'm getting my color put on. So we're there essentially for a big chunk of time together. And she is so funny to me. She said that she wants to get a perm when she turns 50. And I was like, Ellen, no, let's not do that. Mm-mm. But what was so funny is that
still smell it from 8th grade.
We talked
to smell it when you hear that word.
Well, and there are sometimes when I'm there's an older lady that is getting a perm there, and it's just like
my grandmother called it her permanent.
Yes,
she never called it a perm, and she put that little bonnet today, that rain bonnet.
Yes,
you would shellac it one good time with the hairspray, and it lasted all week.
It makes my eyes water now just thinking about it. But when I got done and it was time for me to leave, I asked Tammy, who does my hair, I call her the hair wizard. I said, Tammy, when's my next appointment? Y'all, I'll be dang. And Chip Thomas looked at me last night like, what? You're going to get your hair done on move day?
Well, you can't move things.
I can't.
Oh, your one job that day is to look good and direct traffic.
Well, I'm going to disappear. The movers come at 9, and I'm going to casually step out at 1 o'clock and go get my hair done.
Because your work there will be done, and if you don't look good, you won't feel good. And we got to take pictures in that new house, and it'll be fine, y'all. Fine.
It'll be fine.
That's awesome.
But Chip goes, "Is there not another day?" And I was like, "Listen,
no, we are at their mercy."
Oh, we are.
And when they say you come, you come. Y'all remember I fought hail, snow, sleet, and I said that backwards. Rain, snow,
whatever,
sleet,
all the things.
Last time it snowed 12 inches, Carl got me to my hair appointment.
Absolutely. Listen, you don't mess with that. But
I'll miss work before I miss my hair appointment.
Oh, he looked at me like that is the worst timing in all the world. And I was like, well, you know what?
Every woman listening right now is nodding their head in full and total agreement.
Except for Tammy and I have had conversations in the past of younger people. I mean, I'm 55, so however old, younger than me. She's like, oh yeah, they come in like every, 4 months or something. And I'm like, what?
Oh, I think Kaylee does that.
She gets away with that because she can. Yeah. But I'm like, somebody in their 30s or 40s, they literally don't have gray hair and they can do that?
I've told y'all this, but every once in a while I find a gray eyebrow and I just get irate.
Yeah.
Or as my friend says, I rant.
Oh, yeah, I'll rant. All right.
She'll say, I got so I rant the other day. I'm like, hold on, those are two separate words.
Do you remember when you had hair extensions?
Oh, yeah. What was I doing? I've tried every stupid thing. I shouldn't say stupid thing.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
You just wanted to?
I don't know. I'm easily persuaded. I'll sit there in that chair and say, it's a wonder I'm not covered in tattoos and piercing, whatever. Hey, you want to do this? Sure. I don't like pain. That's what's saving me. But yes, she was just like, hey, I'm doing this. You want to try it? Sure.
How long did that little season last?
That phase.
I
had a lot of phases.
How long was that? It was more than
a year.
I was going to say between 6 months and 12 months.
A while. But also my hair, I had lost some weight and I had not been taking vitamins and my hair was coming out in chunks.
So that was the rationale.
Part of it too was just to get my hair healthy again because I was going to have to cut it so short and I did not want to do that. And so, part of it was just to kind of get me back to that. And then here's what's funny. I think in my mind when she was talking to me about extensions, in my mind, what I should have done and really wanted and thought I was getting was to just put a stocking cap over my head and get a Dolly Parton wig where I could just literally not touch my hair and leave in 5 seconds and look fabulous.
Y'all, I'd be all about that.
I want to do that.
The crazy lady that was the Real Housewives of Atlanta that dated the football player, whatever their names were, and they're like going through a horrible divorce and they've lost everything. God, I cannot think of her name right now. She was a wig lady, and she just had like in her giant closet that was as big as all of our bedrooms, were her hair wigs on these little head mannequins, and she would just put that on.
I saw the funniest TikTok. And it was really sweet because it was one of those like girl power things because a lady was going through airport security and the female security guard kept telling her she had to, or TSA agent, whatever they are, she kept saying, ma'am, you're going to have to remove your hat.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you see that? And she was acting so weird about it.
Yes.
And when she took her hat off, her hair was attached to the hat.
Yes.
The security person real quick was like, oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I know. That's just awful.
I know. Because she was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And she was, it triggered the security people's attention that she was so reluctant to take her hat off. And they were suspicious. And she was really just embarrassed.
That's like now I have TSA pre-check. But before I had TSA pre-check, when I was just a commoner.
When you were a common traveler, a peon.
And then one day I was like, oh my, yes, sign me up.
I'll take the fast pass, please.
For real. For real. If you travel more than one time a year.
Just get it.
Just get it.
Or if you just want to feel bougie.
Yeah. Or you just want to say, look at me. And I kind of sometimes think that. I think
I'm the line leader.
Yeah, probably.
It goes back to third grade.
Yeah. So, but before that, when you had to take off your shoes and like maybe your socks didn't match or something.
Or your toenails were jankety.
And you're just
or you didn't have on socks. That's disgusting to have to walk on there. Yeah. Gross.
Anyway.
Gross.
Okay.
That's our gross segment.
That's our travel gross
Okay, the red light therapy.
Yes.
If you're listening and you do that, have a machine, have a mask. I've seen friends of ours with the hat that's good for your hair.
Yeah.
With the red light mask.
Is this backed by anybody that says this is actually legit and good, or is this a trend?
All of the above, but also I've heard a lot of people trying to sell this also say that up until recently you could only do it in spas and estheticians and facials and whatever. So I know the red light therapy is supposed to be great. There's all different color lights for all different purposes. My goal is 10 to 20 minutes under the red light starting today.
Yeah, mine is still in the box, y'all. And I think we briefly talked about it the last episode.
I think we did. And I don't know that we talked about your house. I think that was the cliffhanger of listen next time to see what Fran did. So Fran bought a house.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait for that day.
And it's not real because let's go way back. When you first announced or we started talking about you moving, a lot of people panicked and thought maybe you were moving out of the area.
No, y'all.
Fran is still a local girl.
Still a local girl.
Praise Jesus.
But by the time March 13th, when the actual physical move takes place while I'm getting my hair done.
They don't need your help.
Listen.
Your work comes later.
I will have moved 3 times since last July.
That's insane.
Y'all just get your mind wrapped around that.
And traveled internationally.
Yeah.
And.
So
remember a few years ago, or maybe not that long, when you were like, I'm just kind of bored.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a very slow season.
I felt very stuck.
I feel very stuck in the land of nothing. And I was like, Fran,
the Lord
feel like
said,
you need to be getting ready for fruit basket turnover.
Yeah, here we go, everybody.
It's so fun.
How are y'all doing?
What's going on out there?
I did, because March, back to the weather and moving, March is a weird month. So this is why do I think this is even going to be accurate? However,
here's the prediction. Write it down.
Here's the prediction, everyone, because this is what you do. So I thought, oh my God, wouldn't it just be miserable if it's so cold or so raining like today on a move day? So what do? Well, you go to AccuWeather,
the long range. March 13th?
I have.
What did it say?
Oh, it's going to be gorgeous.
Well, then we're going to claim it.
Yes, please, Lord, let that hold true. It's going to be gorgeous.
Of course it will.
So I'll let y'all know.
You're going to have great hair. And if it's raining or sunny,
who cares?
You will not be affected by it.
Who cares?
Yeah. Your movers will be just fine one way or another.
Look at her being all bossy with her good hair.
You know, you got to have good hair. It is a non-negotiable. Okay. We ready for our spiritual
segment, everyone?
We're going to transition.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out of my mouth, but
it's going to be spiritual.
It's so.
While you're pulling that up, I do want to link and remind people, Rachel Mitchell, that we love, that's been on our podcast multiple times. She asked me to come on her podcast last week, and we had and I'm not saying this because it was me, but we had the best conversation because I just love her so much and how she serves women. And we just talked about mindset. And if anybody listening just would benefit from that, we can link it.
But I want to listen to it. I forgot about it.
Well, and just her, go back and listen to her episodes because they're concise and they're powerful and they are so scripturally solid. And it's a whole spiritual segment all the time.
Right.
Without the ridiculousness. But no, we love you, Rachel, if you're listening, and it's worth your time.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes and so that y'all and the stories and stuff for y'all to. Okay, so every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m.
This is so early and so impressive.
It is
we
early.
We love you college girls getting up at 6:30 a.m. to talk about Jesus.
Yeah. I'll also say, let me also back up and say that we get together for 5 weeks. It's called Bridges.
Does that stand for anything?
No, but the goal is to bring different groups of women together to bridge a gap between your siloed groups of people.
Because it can be so segmented.
Clicky. And so because of the way we do it and the way it's set up and the conversation that we have, it forces you in a good way to have conversation and to be honest together as a little small group about the things that you're struggling with or the things that you were talking about in regards to what was taught that morning. But anyway, it is at 6:30 in the morning, and this is a brand new baby program, And so we're still trying to figure out what it needs to ultimately be to bring really good value to the girls. And so I'm not super convinced that 6:30 in the morning is the best, but we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out.
What are the groups that are being bridged together? Is it like
it's
sports, sorority?
Yes,
like is it the typical,
all the above. Yeah, just different sororities, independents, different grade levels, different majors, the shy, the extrovert, like all of it.
Like they might never gather together otherwise, but they love it. And
we know that there's power in that, and it's necessary. So anyway, we've been living in this theme of temptation all for the 5 weeks, and we're only 3 weeks. We've got 3 weeks behind us. But one of the things that I just briefly want to touch on for us to wrap up with and think about as we consider our own lives, because I'm no different than these college girls. Whatever it is we're talking about, I am probably right there in the middle of it too. And so we've been talking about comparison and how we write this narrative in our head about somebody else, and we feel inadequate, and we're always comparing ourselves or criticizing or judging ourselves to somebody else, or we're judging them compared to us. Like, it's just this endless, horrible cycle that we live in. But one of the girls, after one of the weeks, she came up to me, and she it'd be like coming up to one of us, and she said, I just don't feel like I belong. I just don't feel like I have my people. People think I have my people because I'm extroverted. I will talk to you. I'm approachable, blah, blah, blah. But she said, I just struggle with belonging. And so I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so common.
It is so common.
I bet people listening are like, yep, me too.
And I said, okay, honey, we're going to talk about this next week. And I just want to say this. This is a familiar scripture to us, Angela, and we really learned it through Sophie Hudson's book, Giddy Up Eunice. But it is the relationship between Mary and Elizabeth. So when Mary found out that she was miraculously pregnant, alongside her cousin Elizabeth, who was much older in age, she too is miraculously pregnant. Mary takes the time, immediately travels to her older cousin and to tell her that she's pregnant. Travels probably a couple of days to go tell this cousin that she's pregnant. And what I love in this story is Elizabeth's response to Mary. She didn't make it about me. If I'm Elizabeth, she didn't make it about, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're here. I have something to tell you. Like, she was deferring to Mary immediately and letting her have her space and celebrating her instead of comparing their stories.
I love that.
She celebrated her. And so
and was not threatened
by that. And so that turned into a really beautiful conversation of what belonging looks like, of how to celebrate our sister instead of compare our stories and what's going on.
I saw the best quote. I'm sure it was on Instagram, but it said, you can't compete with me because I want you to win more than you want to win.
Right.
And I thought, that's that outdoing one another and showing honor.
We've talked about that's Romans 12:15. That verse, it's the ESV. We've talked about that verse so many times in Bridges, that you want to love one another with brotherly affection. And we talked about what that means.
And if we're all running toward Jesus, I'm not worried about stepping on you to get ahead of you because I need you there too. Like,
that's right.
Let's all just go.
That's right. Yeah. So to love one another with brotherly affection and to outdo one another in showing honor. And I told the girls, and I challenge myself in this, is that if you want to be competitive, then be competitive in outdoing each other and how you love one another well.
That's good.
Like, let's be those girls.
And it's one thing to say it.
It is. It's hard to do it.
Let's go do that.
It's hard to do it.
Practically, what does that look like?
Yeah. And we talked about that. We kind of backed it up and slowed it down and just talked about, in their small groups, they were asked to share a time when they were rejected, when they didn't feel like they had their people celebrating them, that it felt like you felt like an outsider. You felt like people were talking about you.
That's heavy for 6:30 in the morning.
Oh gosh, I know. But you know what? The chatter was high.
That's where the freedom is.
Yeah.
You speak that out loud, then you're like, oh.
Because we can't just move on so quickly. We have to remember what it felt like to not have people. Did Mary, praise God, she had Elizabeth to go to. And so I ask all of us, like, if you're Mary, who's your Elizabeth that you're going to drop everything and go run and tell? And then we're all also an Elizabeth. Like, if Mary comes to you to share something with you, don't make it about you. Celebrate her in that.
And that's such a fine line, because I think some people, and I'm guilty of this, it's like you'll want to share your experience for the purpose of validating what you're hearing.
I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm a safe place. I've been there. But it's so hard to navigate that, because sometimes I'm like, why did I say that? Why can't I just be a good listener? I don't have to tell them the example of me being in that situation. Like, it's just such an interesting, it's just something I'm constantly trying to be aware of.
Well, we all are. We all are.
We're growing and becoming.
We are.
But and that is so good. Then that applies to all of us.
It applies to all of us. And so every week we just keep building on all of this.
So comparison, what else have you done? Do you remember temptation?
And I'd have to pull up my slides.
Oh, that's okay. That's good, though.
Yeah, I feel like we've been stuck in a good way on comparison.
Well, the devil is so specific, and he's not that creative.
No,
but he's very aware of how we're wired and how to take us out. And with women, there you go. It's not that original.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to really go beyond that, because if we're not mindful and fighting and fighting for each other and aware of what Scripture says and how to fight back, that is a trap that we'll all fall into.
I read this to them. We'll wrap up with this. I read to them out of 1 Corinthians 12 through 27 talks about the body of Christ. And that we just don't spend enough time there as females, or anybody, but I just know as a female, we struggle with identity. And we have spent time talking about some of the identity verses in Scripture and truth that we love so much. But here is what Matthew Henry, his commentary, says about the body, the way it should be.
Why do I know Matthew Henry's name? From a commentary? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so it says this. He says this. Each member has its form, place, and use. There must be a distinction of members in the body. So Christ's members have different powers in different places. We should do the duties of our own place and not murmur or quarrel with others. All the members of the body are useful and necessary to each other. As in the natural body of man, the members should be closely united by the strongest bonds of love. The good of the whole should be the object of all. All Christians are dependent one upon another. Each is to expect and receive help from the rest. And I'm like, I know that. I've heard that. I logically get it. But we don't practice it well at all. We tear apart, and we see it now probably more than ever. We tear each other apart so quickly and can justify, let me raise my hand, can justify why we're doing it. And I just think, dang, I don't know. It's just harmful. It's absolutely harmful. And college girls and girls in general of any age, I mean, good gosh, we are just not good at loving one another with brotherly affection and outdoing one another and showing honor. It's much easier to stab each other in the back and to gossip and to tear one another down. But it's coming from our own insecurity. We don't understand who we are in Christ.
And in some ways, it does get easier with time and wisdom and age and life experience, because you start to become confident and grab a hold of the teaching. And I think listening to you say that right now, what I'm reminded of, and for all of you listening who are the Elizabeths in this situation like us, like, we can't take it for granted and not say, you and I talked about this lately, we've got to say the thing out loud to the younger generation.
Right.
and not just assume that they know.
They don't
we
know.
because we have all this hard-won experience from our battles, and it's so important. Don't ever be afraid of being Captain Obvious.
Right.
It may be obvious to you.
That's right.
But they may be hearing it for the first time.
That's right.
Or needing to hear it for the 32nd time.
Right.
Because over and over, we need the
Right.
reminders. All throughout Scripture, it's remember, remember, remember. Like, we don't ever hesitate.
Yeah.
If you feel prompted to share something, don't go, oh, I don't need to tell her that. She knows that.
Right.
Say it out loud.
Well, I had Ellen back to the hair wizard yesterday, Ellen Neely. She asked me because she's a pastor's wife here in town. And so she also has a lot of relationships with college girls, and she mentors a lot of people. And she asked me, she said, do you ever find that when you're in conversation with these girls that you're telling them something and you feel like they understand and you're all on the same page, and then they go out and do the complete opposite of what you said? I said, oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But it's because of that right there. Mm-hmm. They are learning and they don't have the years of experience. We have 30 years of messing the thing up.
And we still do it. There's a reason we are compared to sheep. And
That's
until
right.
I owned a gross, stinky, stubborn, strong, ridiculous decision-making sheep. They do the dumbest things.
Yeah.
There's a reason that's who we're compared to.
Yeah.
But we have a shepherd. That's the good news.
Yeah. Well, and we assume that, and I'm just talking about girls, we just assume that students, especially in the context of Union in a Christian university, that they know these things and they've mastered it. Mm-hmm. No. You need to not just tell them things, but you need to unpack it and live in that messy with them for the whole 4 years that I have access to them.
And that's another trap, assuming that they know, because then we won't tell them.
That's right. So anyway, what seemed like this whole conversation about comparison with these girls, and we're going to lean into friendships, specifically how to be a really good friend and accountability and willing to call out each other. That's really hard at that age because our feelings get so hurt. But it's been so good. So bravo to the young girls getting up at 6:30 in the morning.
How many people come? What size is that?
It's a small group. It's a high week would be around 25.
Oh, that's good though.
It averages between around 15 to 20.
That's amazing.
15 sounds kind of low. So probably 20
a.m. on a Monday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Proud of that.
Well, we think y'all are awesome.
Yes, you are.
You are awesome. Y'all have a fantastic week. Stay tuned. We'll give you updates on snow. We'll give you a snow report.
Snow-nado.
That's and red light therapy. Surely I will have it out of the box by next recording.
So our homework for accountability is we have to send each other a red light selfie.
Yeah. Okay, y'all get ready.
Somebody else is going to have to take it because if we're under that thing, we can't.
Get ready, everyone. Okay, y'all have a fantastic week. We love you so much. Thanks always for listening. All right, are you following us on Instagram? Are you a part of Rambling Through Everyday Life on Facebook? Search us, find us. We would love to have you a part of the community there. All right, you guys, have a great week.